Thank you for joining us. Hi, I'm Emily. Like many of you, I live with MS. I work for the National MS Society in the DC area. I'm a certified group fitness instructor, personal trainer, and chronic disease fitness specialist with over 7 years of experience creating and teaching adaptive fitness classes for those living with MS. We are so excited to launch the first of 3 general sessions in the Pathways to Wellness and MS Nutrition series. Our first session, The Science Behind MS Nutrition, highlights the importance of understanding studies of diet and MS, how to interpret those outcomes, common comorbidities, and how nutrition can play a role in your MS and overall health. Now, let us know in the chat what you're most excited to learn about right now. This session includes a lot of information about research, diet, and wellness recommendations, and the recordings will be available on demand on the Society's website and in this virtual environment, so you'll have the opportunity to view it again and access resources whenever you need. We encourage everyone to ask questions and share with one another in the chat box throughout the program. Our MS navigators are here with us today to answer your questions and provide resources as well. We also encourage you to engage and support each other in the chat throughout the program and in our various resource rooms in the environment. What you gain from this program experience today is directly related to what you put into it. If you're ready to get started, type "I'm ready" in the chat. I'd like to acknowledge and thank our sponsor, Genentech, for their generous support. Partnerships from MS community organizations help the Society reach our goal of providing up-to-date information and support through programs like Pathways to Wellness and MS. Now, I've lived with MS for 16 years and haven't really followed any particular diet, but I do know the role nutrition has in overall health. So I'm so excited to hear more about dietary research and the impact it may have on MS. Now it's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Vijayashree Yadav. Dr. Yadav is a board-certified neurologist who completed her fellowship in neuroimmunology and MS at Oregon Health and Science University and Portland VA Medical Center in 2004. Dr. Yadav is a professor of neurology at Oregon Health and Science University. She is currently the director at OHSU MS Center, Department of Neurology, and assistant director of clinical care at the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. She's participated in close to 70 peer-reviewed publications and abstracts. Her work has appeared in a number of books, including Dietary Supplements and Other Alternative Substances for the Treatment of Multiple Sclerosis, and the Textbook of Natural Medicine. She currently serves as a member and fellow for the American Academy of Neurology, the American Neurologic Association, and the Oregon Medical Association. She also sits on multiple National MS Society committees for wellness research. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be with you today to discuss the science behind MS nutrition. Current research shows us that a wellness-based lifestyle focused on physical and emotional well-being and a healthy diet is very beneficial to people living with MS. Therefore, nutrition is a very important part of living your best life with MS. Let's start by building our foundation. Nutrition, what is it exactly? Well, nutrition is a science, just like chemistry, biology, and physics are sciences. Since nutrition is a science, it involves research and the use of scientific methods to answer questions. How do we define nutrition? Nutrition is defined as a study of food systems, both what we eat and drink, their nutrients and other constituents, and how they interact with all relevant biological, social, and environmental systems. Good nutrition that energizes your body is a key component of a wellness-based lifestyle. For a person living with MS, practicing a wellness-based lifestyle means so much more. It can impact disease progression and even lifespan. It's essential to modifying the disease course, treating relapses, managing a variety of MS symptoms. It also helps us live safely and as independent as possible. Eating well can help us achieve a wellness-based lifestyle. Let me start by saying there is no diet that research indicates can cure MS. However, there is emerging data that dietary changes can help with many aspects of MS. Most diet studies have not gone through observational and clinical trials, and if they have, those have not been subjected to rigorous review. The following diets have been studied for MS: SWANK, Paleolithic, also known as Wall's protocol, McDougall, ketogenic, and Mediterranean diets. There has also been limited research conducted about intermittent fasting, which is a caloric restriction eating pattern. Share in the chat if you participated in an MS study about diet. So now we'll dive into each dietary study as it relates to MS. But first, let's review some terminologies. So we start by understanding what makes a research study legitimate. Clinical research involves the study of human participants and may be either observational or interventional. In observational studies, researchers observe and document people's actual behaviors and evaluate for outcomes. Interventional studies, also popularly known as clinical trials, are when researchers actively assign participants a particular intervention. In nutrition research, the intervention is typically the specialty diet that is being studied to see how it affects outcomes. Clinical trials provide stronger evidence than observational studies because observational studies show only a connection but cannot determine the one thing definitely caused the other. So some important terms to remember are sample size, which refers to the number of participants. Duration is how long the study goes on for, and longer is typically better. A control group for dietary studies is a group of participants who do not change anything about their eating. Control groups are important because they help prove the outcome of the intervention group is actually related to the change in diet. Then randomization is randomly assigning participants to either the diet or the control groups. And randomization helps reduce bias. And then what is bias? Bias is sometimes described as a tendency to prefer one thing over another or to favor one person, thing, or explanation in a way that prevents objectivity or that influences the outcome of a study. Participants and the people conducting, analyzing, or rating the outcome of the study can be blinded. Then what is blinding? Blinding means the parties involved with the study do not know who received the intervention and who did not. And adherence is a term that means how well the participants follow the rules or the guidelines given to them. So the best clinical trials with robust results are the ones with lots of participants over a long period of time with a control group, active randomization, blind rating, and with many participants adhering to the rules. Now that we have laid the foundation for the dietary MS research studies we'll discuss, let's also review how the first one came about. So this graphic shows the incidence of MS around the world, with the highest rate of MS being the northern latitudes countries. The potential effects of fat in the diet and new cases of MS came from observation of Norwegian population in the early 1950s. It was discovered that the diets of the farmers were much higher in animal and dairy products than the diets of the coastal dwellers who ate mostly enriched cold water fish. Additional studies have since correlated consumption of animal fat and animal protein with the risk of MS, though we understand that just because two things correlate does not necessarily mean one caused the other. This idea was the basis to support the very first study for MS, the Swank diet. The Swank diet was put together by Dr. Roy Swank in 1948, and he conducted a 50-year observation study, which is considered the longest running dietary research related to MS. It is also considered to be the oldest nutrition intervention for MS. The study, however, has significant limitations in that it did not use the current scientific standards of studies. The Swank diet focuses on eating low fat with supplements of cod liver oil. The diet excludes or limits high consumption of saturated animal fat. The Swank diet identifies more than 20 grams of fat a day to be overconsumption. This number translates to about half a Big Mac or 10 Oreos. So 144 participants were grouped as either good dieters or bad dieters. Good dieters ate less than 20 grams of fat a day, while bad dieters ate greater than that amount. Outcomes were generally favorable to good dieters with reports of longer lifespan and less disability over the 50-year span. However, there were some significant limitations to the data. There was no control group to compare outcomes with, and there was a 15-year break in communication with some of the participants. So in terms of adherence, participants actually self-reported whether they were good or bad dieters, so there's potentially a large margin of human error. The Paleolithic diet is commonly referred to in the MS community as Wall's protocol. This diet generally emphasizes eating lean meats like organ meats or fish, vegetables, and fruits. This diet eliminates or limits eating dairy, eggs, gluten, or other grain products. A variety of dietary studies related to Wall's protocol took place throughout the mid-2010s and had participant sizes ranging from 10 to 34, with durations ranging from 3 to 12 months. Some studies focused on relapsing remitting MS, while another research effect on primary progressive patients. All relative studies found generally the same outcomes. Participants who followed Wall's protocol in each of the studies reported reduced fatigue and improved MS-related quality of life. However, only one study used a control group to compare results to. Other limitations include the small sample size, short duration, and poor adherence by participants. A recent 2024 study compared the SWANG diet and Wall's protocol with interesting results. 87 people with relapsing remitting MS were randomized to the SWANG or paleo diets. 77 completed 12 weeks, 72 completed 24 weeks. Outcomes indicate both diets are associated with lower fatigue and better quality of life. There was no improvement in walking distance or other MS-related symptoms. No issues were reported for either diet. In 2008, OHSU researchers conducted a pilot study looking at effects of a low-fat, plant-based diet for MS. McDougall diet is similar to vegan in that it eliminates animal byproducts like meat or dairy. The goals were to study if a low-fat, plant-based diet is safe for MS and looked specifically for outcomes indicating the diet had an effect on MS progression, changes to MS symptoms, or any disease activity in general. This study took place over the course of a year and is a well-controlled and high-quality study. 61 randomized participants were separated into two groups, the control and the group that was asked to change their diet, also called the intervention group. The intervention group was taught the low-fat, plant-based diet for a 10-day intense training program. That group then followed up with dietitian regularly throughout the study, encouraging high adherence to the diet. Even with the quality of the study, the small size and the short duration are still considered to be important limitations when reviewing the outcomes. Compared to the control group, those following the McDougall diet reported reduced fatigue, lost more weight, and had generally improved cholesterol and insulin levels as well. However, specific to MS, the results showed no difference between the diet and control group for changes in brain MRI, number of relapses, or disability. Our next MS dietary study to review is the ketogenic diet, which is considered to be very low carb while incorporating a higher than normal intake of proteins like fish, eggs, and meat, and fats like cheese and dairy. Keto is defined in this specific study as an average daily intake of less than 50 gram carbohydrates, equal to 1 cup of rice or pasta all day, more than 160 grams of fat, and less than 100 gram protein. 60 participants were separated into three groups, one as a control, one to a ketogenic diet, and the final to a fasting mimicking diet. Those in this group consumed 200 to 350 calories per day for 7 days, followed by a plant-based Mediterranean diet for the remainder. Strengths of this study were the inclusion of a control group, randomization, and good adherence to the diet. Outcomes reported improvement in MS-related quality of life and reduced disability in both diet groups. Limitations, however, were use of unblinded raters, meaning the researchers who analyzed the study data knew which group participants they were in, a relatively small sample size and somewhat short duration. Our final diet review is a Mediterranean diet, which includes eating foods rich in olive oil, fish, nuts, fruits, and vegetables. This diet limits or eliminates meat and dairy and limits most processed foods and salt as well. This diet study included 36 people with MS, with 18 randomly assigned to follow the Mediterranean diet and 18 in the control group. It lasted 6 months. Compared to the control group, those following the diet reported more weight loss, experienced reduced fatigue and disability, and improved quality of life. There were no reported changes to MS symptoms or disease progression. Strengths of this study included inclusion of a control group, randomization, blinded raters, and excellent adherence. Limitations, however, were that the study was a relatively small sample size and short duration. Mediterranean diet in general is relatively simple and easier to follow and maintain than most of the other specific diets, as it focuses more on the addition of healthy foods rather than being restrictive in nature. Our final study review was not about the type of food eaten, but the method and frequency of how a person consumes calories. There are a variety of ways to approach intermittent fasting and caloric restriction, but it is basically an eating pattern in which the participant abstains from having any calorie containing food or drink for a certain period of time. One study followed 17 people with relapsing remitting MS for 15 days. 8 were assigned to the control group and 8 followed a randomly assigned caloric restriction, also called intermittent fasting. In this study of people with MS, the intermittent fasting group was told to reduce their daily caloric intake to less than 500 calories every other day. The control group ate their usual diet, being specifically told to eat 100% of their daily caloric needs every day. Another study that went on for 8 weeks and had a third of participants on the control being specifically told to eat all their daily caloric needs every day. A third was instructed to follow intermittent fasting, or 75% fewer calories 2 days in a row and their normal amount the other 5 days. The final third was assigned to a daily caloric restriction, which means they reduced their daily caloric intake by 22%. Outcomes for both studies show that compared to the control groups, those following the intermittent fasting or caloric restriction diets reported more weight loss and generally better emotional well-being, but there were no specific changes or effects on MS noted by participants. The strengths of this study included inclusion of a control group, randomization, blinded raters, and good adherence. The limitations included being a very small sample size and a short duration of the study. While caloric restriction and intermittent fasting has become popular in recent years to help burn fat stores, it doesn't come without real risks, sometimes both mental and physical. So adhering to intermittent fasting can be extremely triggering and is not recommended for people with a history of disordered eating such as anorexia, bulimia, and binge eating disorders. Fasting can also be dangerous for people who have diabetes. So before you make any changes to your eating patterns or habit, always make sure to speak to your healthcare provider to review the best options for your daily lifestyle and body. So how do these studies compare? Well, the results show that following any of these diets could lead to healthy benefit for your body. Almost unanimous reports of more energy and weight loss while following each of the diets are incredibly meaningful to quality of life. At the most basic level, the outcomes show that all of these diets have something in common. They promote a way of eating that is better for you than the standard American diet, which is also referred to as the Western diet and is very common in the United States. So an American diet is characterized by high amounts of processed foods, refined carbohydrates and added sugars, refined fats, high fat, dairy products, and red meat. Common foods eaten in the standard American diet are frozen meals like pizza or TV dinners, packaged breads and boxed pasta, sugary drinks like soda or fruit punch, and desserts like the ice cream and box cake. Each of the diets we reviewed today emphasized removing processed foods like these that tend to have excess calorie, saturated fat, and cholesterol. That alone makes each of these diets more nutritious and better for you than eating the standard American diet. So type yes in the chat if you're inspired to change your eating habits. Some diets claim they can treat or cure your MS, but evidence does not support that statement. Instead, focus on following a healthier diet to help you feel better overall, which may then relate to higher quality of life with MS as well. Of course, there are real challenges to research studies of all types, and it's no different for ones related to diet and MS. Most notably, the studies we reviewed today are impactful, but most had a very small participant pool that did not have high adherence and took place for a relatively short period of time. So better studies would include more diverse people studied for much longer. It's also notable that research needs to understand other factors that impact outcomes like the use of disease-modifying therapies or other medications, and how personal behaviors such as smoking, alcohol use, and exercise factor in. Because of these limitations, the scientific community requires more research to be done to make definite recommendations as it relates to diet as a tool for MS. You may be asking yourself, if no diets have been proven to have a benefit to your MS, what's the point? Well, in addition to having more energy and generally feeling better, a healthy diet can reduce co-morbidities, and that can improve or more directly affect MS progression. A comorbidity is one person having two or more chronic diseases or medical conditions at one time. An example is someone with MS who also has arthritis. Neither disease has a cure nor will go away, but there are treatments and even lifestyle changes that can have a positive impact on both conditions. So when something changes in your health, it's tempting to attribute those changes automatically to MS, but there's a chance it may be something else. It's important, therefore, to discuss any persistent changes with your healthcare provider. As you see reported on this graph, the most common comorbidities for people living with MS are diabetes, hypertension or high blood pressure, heart disease, lung disease, certain mood disorders, and autoimmune conditions. These comorbidities not only compromise a person's overall health, but are also associated with increased number of hospitalizations, more rapid MS progression, reduced quality of life, and a shorter lifespan. Let's take a moment to talk about vascular comorbidities. Vascular comorbidities is a disease of any abnormal condition of the blood vessels, including the arteries and the veins. The vascular system is so important because the body uses these vessels, arteries, and veins to circulate blood throughout itself. Since the vascular system runs throughout the whole body, problems to this vast network can cause severe disability in a variety of ways. People at higher risk of developing a vascular disease may have any or multiple risk factors like being a smoker, family history, lack of exercise, poor diet, age, and gender. Vascular comorbidities common in MS that are directly influenced by your diet and nutritional intake are high blood pressure, high cholesterol, high body weight, and diabetes. So why is this such a big deal for a person living with MS? There is growing recognition in the scientific and medical communities that these comorbidities may both complicate the diagnosis of MS and even increase disease progression as well as a person's wellness and quality of life. One study found that people with MS who also had a specifically vascular comorbidity like hypertension, diabetes, or high cholesterol required assistance with walking sooner than people with MS who had no vascular comorbidity. That's why being attentive to your overall wellness and choosing healthy diet and lifestyle behavior is so important. Good nutrition can help prevent common health conditions that can make living with MS more difficult. In addition to MS, some other disorders may have risk factors in common, most of which can actually be influenced by healthy diet, like high blood pressure, obesity, diabetes, and cholesterol. Even if the diets we reviewed don't have direct impact on MS, they can positively impact vascular comorbidities, which could then lead to less disability and symptoms related to your MS. In addition to vascular comorbidities, diet can have a positive impact on other areas as well. Lipids are a class of compound made of fatty acid that occur naturally in the body or come directly from food and are commonly just called fat. Lipids are thought to play two roles in MS. First, targeting and destroying myelin, and second, as a middleman connection to the inflammation process. Consuming a diet high in saturated fat intake can cause the body to retain too much cholesterol in the blood, leading to health problems like heart disease and stroke. A healthy diet includes limited saturated fat consumption. This type is found in animal and dairy products, palm and coconut oils, and cocoa butter. However, not all fats are bad. Unsaturated fat is good and even necessary for your body. Unsaturated fat can be found in plant-based foods, oils, and fish. Another important marker of health is cholesterol level. Cholesterol is a fat-like waxy substance that helps your body make cell membranes, various hormones, and vitamin D. The cholesterol in your blood comes from two sources, the foods you eat and your liver. Your liver makes all the cholesterol your body needs, so any cholesterol from food you eat is considered extra, though it is considered okay to have some cholesterol in your food. Cholesterol and other fats are carried in your bloodstream as particles called lipoproteins. The two most commonly known lipoproteins are high-density lipoproteins, also known as HDL, and low-density lipoprotein or LDL, too much of which creates buildup in your arteries that could lead to heart attack or stroke. A cholesterol screening is an overall look at the fats in your blood and may be done to determine your risk of cardiovascular disease. Screenings help identify your risk for heart disease. It is important to have what is called a full lipid profile to show the actual levels of each type of fat in your blood, LDL, HDL, triglycerides, and others. You should talk to your healthcare provider about if and when to have this test. And the treatment for high cholesterol may include medications, more exercise, and eating a healthier diet. Let's take a moment to talk about another common MS comorbidity. As you can see on this graph provided by the USDA website, high body weight is not a health concern unique to one geographic area over another. Its disproportionately high prevalence in the United States is likely tied to the consumption of the standard American diet we learned about earlier, high in calories and processed food. Graphs like this tell us that more education is needed around the impact of diet and nutrition on our bodies and on health conditions like MS and comorbidities. Research indicates people living with the MS are more likely to have a higher body weight, clinically known as obesity, than the general population. Those individuals are also more likely to have a more significant progression of MS and have worse symptoms than those who are not. Children and young adults who are obese are more likely to develop MS as well as than those who are not. Research shows us that being of this high body weight and specifically having more fat tissue, also called adipose tissue, worsens inflammation in MS. Inflammation causes damage to and loss of function to nerve cells, which act as the inflammation messengers of the body. Inflammation can also impair the ability of the nerve cells to heal after this damage occurs and can even cause a nerve cell to die completely. In MS, when nerve cells are damaged or destroyed because of inflammation, the signals from the brain can't get to the right destination. Disability from damage to nerve cells is a hallmark of MS, so it's important to know how our eating habits can play a role in that. Dietary research also shows obesity has a potential impact on brain volume and lesions, though the results from those studies are mixed. Obesity has a reported impact on balance and gait and walking ability as well. Knowing all of that, still maintaining a healthy weight that is best for your body and your MS is much easier said than done. Maybe you experience one or more of the following issues like access issues to the healthcare, food insecurities, lack of social support, no access to education or healthy food systems, financial issues, disabilities, or your social economic status or ethnicity plays a negating role. Whatever your unique and personal barrier might be, no, you don't have to do it alone. It is a complex issue rooted in genetics, social systems, and access to education. Perhaps your first step was attending this program, and we are so glad you did. Next, discuss this with a trusted healthcare partner. There are resources and support systems available in this environment, and we hope what you learned today helps you feel ready and able to take that next step. We reviewed a lot of really good information, and it is our goal that you come away feeling empowered with data that can inform your decisions. Diet doesn't cure MS, but can have many positive impacts on comorbidities, how you feel, and overall health. Our next session will take everything we reviewed here and give you information and tools to apply to your life today. Thank you so much for your time and attention.
Thank you so much, Dr. Yadav. There are so many exciting things happening in dietary MS research, and I think your presentation just reinforces the importance of the impact that food has on our MS. So I'm excited to learn more today. Thanks everyone who engaged in the chat. Before we close this session, I'd like to again highlight the resource room where you can learn more about the studies and diets that was mentioned in this session today. We're now going to take a quick break so you can explore this virtual environment. Make sure to check out the photo booth and add your selfie to the photo wall. That can be found in the Connection Lounge. Also, visit the Wellness Center for activities like meditation and stretching. You may even recognize the instructor. For those who like healthy competition, we do have a leaderboard tracking your engagement today. You'll get points for visiting different rooms, taking your picture, viewing resources, and engaging with each other. Have fun, and we'll see you back here after the break for the next program session, How to Eat Well with MS.